responsibility.
And we certainly saw, some of the clients that were here today, we see how that landscape is changing and how many organizations are really changing the way they think about their volunteering program from just kind of a charity model that you talked a little bit about to one which is really, it's part of their program for gaining competitive advantage globally as well as against kind of some of their domestic competitors. Well, the last question I wanted to ask you was, tell us a little bit about, you gave some specific advice today about best practices for organizations that are running a volunteering program and trying to align their volunteering with their business strategies. And can you give us some of the highlights from best practices that you've seen in your research?
Absolutely, and I think there's probably sort of 5 that I'd like to highlight. One are how companies are aligning the themes that they're mobilizing their employees to volunteer on much more with the themes that matter to their business. So the energy companies doing energy-related volunteering, and the financial sector companies doing financial literacy volunteering, and the food companies doing food volunteering. I think we're seeing a lot more of that. But then second, I think another best practice I'm seeing is not pushing everything in that direction, but actually recognizing that you need a portfolio approach to volunteering, and that it's very important to align your particular skills-based pro bono volunteering around core competencies and core issues that really matter to the company and its industry. But at the same time, there's still an enormous amount of value that can be provided both to employees but also to the local communities that they live and work in by allowing flexibility and 1,000 flowers to bloom. And it's become very popular to say, well, you mustn't just paint the school anymore, but actually going in and painting the school also has its validity. So second best practice, I think, is having a portfolio approach to volunteering, which really does go the whole gamut from the more traditional volunteering in the community to skills-based strategic volunteering. I think the third good practice, which I hope we'll sort of see more of, is what I call sort of venture capital innovation funding being applied to volunteering, and whether it's sort of internal innovation funds or external innovation funds, but actually taking the same sort of R&D innovation approach that we take for product development and service development to volunteering, and challenging employees and others to get engaged on a sort of incentive innovation basis, and not so much incentivizing individual employees but as teams of employees to get engaged. I think a fourth good practice that I think has enormous potential is we're starting to see companies think of volunteering in a much broader stakeholder landscape. So the employee volunteering piece is absolutely critical and very challenging on its own, particularly if you're trying to roll it out globally. But the opportunities to engage retirees through companies, to engage your consumers, particularly consumers, if not on the volunteering side, on the cause-related and fundraising side of things, to engage your customers, your suppliers. And I think we've seen some very interesting examples in some of the companies who work with VolunteerMatch on how they're extending that volunteering framework to stakeholders beyond their employees. So I think those would be the main best practices that I think we're seeing.
Well, it was great having you with us today. Oh, that was great, fantastic, and I think we all learned so much today, and there was such a great interaction among not only our clients, but some other folks like you from the space that are kind of observing what's happening and both encouraging us and applauding, and also pointing out some places where we can make some improvements. So I want to thank you very much. I also wanted to give a shout out. Your book is a great place. I read it this week in preparation for the event. It's a great book, Profit with Principles, which is a great book if you'd like to check that out. It's available at a fine retailer near you or on Amazon where I got my book. So thank you very much, Jane, and thank you.
Great. Yeah.